Society has spent years telling you that being a good person means you have to forgive and forget. They say that holding on to the memory of how someone treated you is just carrying bitterness or living in the past. But let's be honest. Have you ever noticed that the people who tell you to just get over it are usually the ones who benefit from your silence? If you're the type of person who can move past a conflict, but you keep a mental ledger of every boundary crossed and every lie told, I want you to listen closely. This isn't coldness, and it definitely isn't a lack of maturity. In fact, psychology suggests that the forgiveness filter is a high-level emotional strategy. It's a specific psychological defense mechanism that ensures you never become a permanent target for manipulation again. Today we're going to explore why your long memory is actually a rare sign of relational intelligence. Welcome back to the channel. Here, we dive into the hidden psychology behind the things that make you feel like an outsider. If you've ever been called resentful because you refuse to let someone back into your inner circle after they've shown you who they are, you aren't alone. You're likely part of a specific group, often the black sheep, or those who raised themselves, who learned early on that memory is a survival tool. Today, we are breaking down the 5 reasons why forgiving but never forgetting is one of the most powerful mindset traits you can possess. We're going to look at how this habit makes you impossible to manipulate and why it's actually the ultimate form of self-respect. The first thing we have to understand is the permanent target theory. In the world of dark psychology, manipulators look for one specific trait in their victims: a short memory. When you forgive and forget, you are essentially resetting the clock for someone who has already proven they are willing to disrespect you. By forgiving the person but retaining the data of the event, you are building an emotional firewall. You might choose to let go of the anger so it doesn't consume you. That's the forgiveness part. But by never forgetting, you are ensuring that the next time that person approaches you, they are meeting a version of you that is armed with experience. You aren't being bitter, you are being strategic. You are making yourself a difficult target, which is one of the 7 psychological facts of people who are impossible to manipulate. If you grew up as the black sheep of your family or had to endure a lot in your childhood, your brain developed a rare trait of hypervigilance. You didn't have the luxury of forgetting, because in your world, forgetting meant getting hurt again. This long memory is actually a sign of high relational intelligence. While others walk blindly into the same toxic patterns over and over, your brain uses selective memory to categorize people based on their historical behavior. You realize that people don't just accidentally cross boundaries, they test them. When you refuse to forget, you are honoring the younger version of yourself who had to stay alert to stay safe. It's not a burden, it's a rare gift of protection. Number 3 is your immunity to the sunk cost fallacy. Most people stay in bad relationships for years because they forget the bad times. Every time there's a single good day, they cling to the nostalgia of who the person used to be. But if you have the forgiveness filter, you see the full picture. You don't let a honeymoon phase or a fake apology erase 6 months of disrespect. This is a high mindset trait, often seen in people who can cut others off easily when necessary. You understand that your time and energy are finite. By keeping a mental record, you aren't living in the past. You are accurately assessing the present value of the relationship. If the ledger is consistently in the red, you have the psychological autonomy to walk away without guilt. There is a specific kind of quiet behavior that forces toxic people to disappear, and it's simply the refusal to pretend that the past didn't happen. When you forgive but don't forget, you change the way you interact with the person. You might be polite, you might even be calm in the argument, but the access you give them is forever changed. This is what we call boundary architecture. You aren't building a wall to keep everyone out, you're building a filter to only let the safe people in. This is a rare emotional strategy because it requires you to be okay with being the villain in someone else's story. When you don't forget, the other person can't gaslight you. They can't tell you it wasn't that bad because you have the receipts stored in your psychological database. This silent strength is what makes you society's biggest threat to those who rely on the silence of others to keep their power. Finally, this mindset is about being built for the future. In a world that is becoming increasingly chaotic, the ability to quickly identify who is trustworthy and who isn't is your greatest asset. By practicing the forgiveness filter, you are essentially practicing a form of emotional agility. You are forgiving for your peace of mind, but you are remembering for your safety. It's a dual processing system. One part of your brain handles the emotional release, while the other part handles the strategic data. This balance is a rare mindset that allows you to move through the world with empathy for others, but an unbreakable shield for yourself. So, the next time someone tells you that you're holding a grudge, just smile. They don't understand that your memory is the only thing standing between your peace and their chaos. You aren't living in the past. You're just making sure you don't have to relive it. If this video helped you feel a little less weird about the way you protect your heart, let me know in the comments. Are you a forger or a forgetter? How has your long memory protected you in the past? I'd love to hear your story. And if you want to keep exploring the hidden psychology of your unique traits, hit that subscribe button. We're building a community for the deep thinkers and the resilient ones who refuse to be silent. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.